The silver diplomatic shuttle descended through the purple clouds of Zenthar, capital world of the Xilarian Empire. Inside, William Harper adjusted his uniform collar and looked at his reflection in the viewport. After 20 years as a Marine and 5 as a diplomat, this was by far his most important mission. Nervous? Samantha Harper squeezed her husband's hand. Her brown hair was pulled back neatly, her eyes bright with excitement despite the 30-hour journey from Earth. Just thinking about what's at stake, William replied quietly. 8-year-old Lily Harper pressed her face against the cold glass of another viewport, her eyes wide with wonder. Dad, look at those towers. They're floating. William smiled at his daughter. Remember what we talked about. Best behavior when we meet the Emperor. Lily nodded seriously. I know. I'm representing all the children of Earth. 3 months had passed since the massive Xilarian ships appeared in Earth's orbit. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades, ever since they'd detected alien signals from deep space. But no amount of preparation could have readied them for the sight of the Xilarians themselves. The shuttle landed with a soft hiss on a platform that seemed to be made of liquid metal. As the Harper family stepped out, they were greeted by a delegation of Xilarians. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms, they moved with graceful precision. Ambassador Harper, the lead Xilarian, spoke in perfect English. I am Kelvor, First Minister to Emperor Jankar. Welcome to Zenthar, the jewel of our 12,000-year empire. William stepped forward and bowed exactly 15 degrees, just as he had practiced. First Minister, we bring greetings from Earth. This is my wife, Dr. Samantha Harper, and our daughter, Lily. Kelvor's large, pupil-less eyes studied Lily with interest. A youngling. The Emperor will be most intrigued. We have not seen human offspring before. Samantha instinctively moved closer to Lily. As a xenobiologist, she understood the scientific curiosity, but as a mother, she felt protective. Our family stays together during the diplomatic mission, William said firmly. Those were the terms we agreed upon. Of course, Ambassador. Please follow me. The High Council awaits. They boarded a floating platform that sped through the alien city. Massive structures of impossible architecture surrounded them, buildings that twisted in ways that seemed to defy physics. Lily gasped as she spotted creatures flying between the towers, some Xilarian, others clearly from different alien species. How many worlds are part of the Empire? Samantha asked, her scientific mind already collecting data. 327 inhabited worlds across this arm of the galaxy, Kelvor replied. Humans are the 48th sentient species we have encountered, and all of them part of your empire. William asked carefully. Kelvor's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. All who encounter the empire eventually join it. Ambassador, it is the natural order. William and Samantha exchanged a quick glance. This confirmed what Earth's leaders suspected. The Xilarians expected humanity to eventually submit to their rule. The platform slowed as they approached a massive floating palace. Guards with energy weapons stood at attention as they passed through force fields that tingled against their skin. The Emperor will see you immediately, Kelvor announced. He has been most eager for this meeting. As they entered the Grand Hall, hundreds of alien eyes turned to watch them. William felt Lily's small hand slip into his. He squeezed it reassuringly. Ready? He whispered to his family. Samantha nodded, her scientist's mind already cataloging the different species present. For Earth, she whispered back. At the far end of the hall, seated on a throne that seemed to be made of living crystal, Emperor Jankar waited. His 4 arms were adorned with symbols of power, his skin a deeper blue than the other Xilarians. The Harper family walked forward together, the first humans to stand before the ruler of the largest empire the galaxy had ever known. 6 months passed on Zenthar. William Harper spent most days in endless meetings with the High Council, learning that Xilarian politics moved at a glacial pace. Today, he sat in his office in the Earth Embassy, reviewing reports from home. A soft knock interrupted him. "Come in," he called. Samantha entered, her lab coat wrinkled from a long day of work. "I need to show you something," she said, her voice low as she closed the door. William recognized that tone. "What did you find?" She placed a data tablet on his desk. "Look at these test results. Silurian technology interacts with human DNA in ways it doesn't with other species. Our neural patterns can interface with their systems at efficiency levels even they can't achieve." William's eyes widened. "Is this why they've been pushing for more human visitors?" "I think so. And it's why they keep trying to get access to Lily for cultural exchange programs." Samantha's face hardened. "They're especially interested in children, whose brains are still developing." Outside the window, the perpetual twilight of Zenthar cast everything in a purple glow. The planet's 3 moons were visible tonight, a rare alignment. "Has anyone else seen these results?" William asked. "No, but their scientists have been watching me closely." I pretended not to notice the significance. William nodded slowly. "We need to tell Earth, but carefully." At that moment, another knock came at the door. Lily bounded in before William could answer, followed by her Silurian friend Tazik. Both children were laughing. "Dad, Sam, Tazik showed me how to make light bubbles." Lily held up her hands, and between them floated a small sphere of glowing energy. William and Samantha exchanged concerned glances. "That's wonderful, honey," Samantha said carefully. "Why don't you and Tazik go play in your room for a bit? Dad and I need to talk." Once the children left, William lowered his voice. "They're already testing her compatibility." Samantha nodded grimly. "Through play. It's clever." Miles away in the Imperial Palace, Imperial strategist Vexthor stood before Emperor Jankar's private council. Holographic displays showed data about humans. "These creatures are unlike any species we've encountered," Vexthor explained. "Their adaptability is remarkable. Within 6 months, Ambassador Harper's child has achieved neural integration that took Bracken young ones 3 years." Emperor Jankar leaned forward on his crystal throne. "And is this a threat to the Empire?" "Potentially," Vexthor replied. "Humans have a history of rapid technological advancement. Their weapon systems advance more in 1 century than most species achieve in a millennium. If they gain mastery of our technology, then they must never leave our control," the Emperor concluded. "What do you suggest?" "We must learn more, especially about their young ones. The Harper child has shown particular aptitude." The Emperor's 4 hands tapped the arms of his throne thoughtfully. "Arrange it, discreetly." Back at the Earth Embassy, Lily and Tazik played in her room, making the light bubbles dance between them. "Your hands make better bubbles than mine," Tazik said. "Teacher Maxlor says humans have special energy." Lily shrugged. "I just copy what you do." Tazik tilted his head. "My father says humans will join the Empire soon. Will you live on Zenthar forever?" "I don't know," Lily replied. "I miss Earth sometimes. The blue sky, the rain, my friends." "What is rain?" Tazik asked. As Lily explained weather to her alien friend, a security officer named Alan Rodriguez monitored communications from a hidden room in the embassy basement. His job was to encrypt messages to Earth and scan for Silurian surveillance. A message from an Imperial channel caught his attention. He translated the alien text. "Subject L exhibits highest compatibility yet seen. Proceed with extraction planning." Rodriguez frowned. There was only one human on Zenthar whose name started with L. He immediately sent an encrypted alert to William Harper. "They're watching your daughter. Extreme caution advised." The Grand Plaza of Zenthar sparkled under the light of 3 moons. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy gathered to celebrate 100 days of formal relations between Earth and the Silurian Empire. Floating lanterns drifted above the crowds, changing colors as they moved. William Harper stood on the main platform beside Emperor Jankar, giving a speech about friendship and cooperation. Samantha watched from nearby, her eyes constantly scanning the crowd for Lily, who had been given permission to attend with her friend Tazik and his family. "Where are they?" Samantha whispered to Alan Rodriguez, who stood guard beside her. "Northwest corner, by the fountain," Rodriguez replied quietly. "Two of our people are watching them." Samantha relaxed slightly, but the warning they had received 2 weeks ago still worried her. William had wanted to return to Earth immediately, but doing so might reveal they knew about the Empire's interest in Lily. Instead, they increased security and watched for an opportunity to leave safely. Suddenly, explosions rocked the far side of the plaza. Screams filled the air as crowds panicked. "Terrorist attack," shouted a Solarian guard. "Protect the Emperor." William was immediately surrounded by Imperial guards and rushed away. Samantha tried to reach him, but was pushed back by the surging crowd. "Rodriguez, get to Lily," she shouted. Rodriguez was already moving, shoving through the panicked aliens toward the fountain. But when he arrived, Lily and Tazik were gone. Across the plaza, hidden by the chaos, 3 Solarian scientists in military uniforms led a confused Lily through a service tunnel. "Where's Tazik? Where are my parents?" Lily asked, growing frightened. "Your friend was taken to safety. We will bring you to your parents soon," said the lead scientist, Meckler. "First, we must get you to a secure location." They brought her to a small research facility hidden beneath the plaza. Inside, strange equipment filled a sterile room. "Sit here," Meckler instructed, pointing to a chair in the center. "This scanner will protect you from harm." Lily hesitated. "I want my mom and dad." After the scan, Meckler insisted, his tone hardening. 2 guards moved closer. Frightened, Lily sat in the chair. Restraints immediately closed around her wrists. "What are you doing?" she cried, struggling. "Remain still," Meckler said coldly. "This is for the Empire." He activated a device that lowered a helmet-like apparatus onto Lily's head. It hummed with energy, connecting directly with her neural pathways. "Remarkable compatibility," a scientist said, reading the displays. "Her mind interfaces with our systems at twice the efficiency of adult subjects." "Increase power," ordered Meckler. "We need deeper readings." "Sir, human physiology may not tolerate those levels," warned another scientist. "The Emperor demands results," Meckler snapped. "Proceed." The machine hummed louder. Lily screamed as pain shot through her body. "Power levels are too high," shouted the second scientist, rushing to the controls. Suddenly, alarms blared. The displays flashed red warnings. "Her neural system is overloading," shouted the scientist. "Shut it down." Meckler hesitated, watching the data flow. Just a few more seconds. Lily's small body convulsed once, then went completely still. The monitors flatlined. "No," gasped the junior scientist, deactivating the machine. "You've killed her." Meckler stared at Lily's lifeless form, the reality of what had happened slowly sinking in. "The Empire cannot be responsible for killing an ambassador's child," he said finally. "The terrorists will take the blame. Clean this up and prepare a story." As they frantically worked to cover their tracks, none of them noticed the small Earth security drone hovering in the corner of the room, silently recording everything. Above ground, Rodriguez had finally fought his way back to Samantha. "I can't find her," he said, his face grim. "But our surveillance drones are still active. If she's anywhere in the diplomatic district, we'll locate her." Samantha's face was pale with fear. "Find my daughter, Alan. Please find her." The Earth Embassy on Zenthar was silent. William and Samantha Harper sat motionless in their quarters, staring at the holographic display showing the last moments of their daughter's life. The security drone had transmitted everything before the Exilarians found and destroyed it. "They murdered her," William whispered, his voice hollow. "They murdered our little girl." Samantha couldn't speak. Her eyes were red and swollen, her hands trembling as she replayed the footage again. Alan Rodriguez entered the room, his face grim. "Ambassador, the Solarian officials are here. They claim Lily was killed by terrorists." William stood up slowly. "Send the footage to Earth. Use all emergency channels. Make sure it gets through." "Already done, sir," Rodriguez confirmed. "But there's something else you should know. Our hidden sensors detected massive fleet movements around Xanthar. The Empire is mobilizing." "They know we have proof," Samantha said, her grief hardening into rage. "They're preparing for our response." On Earth, Admiral Susan Bennett stood in the Global Defense Command Center as the footage of Lily Harper's death played on the main screen. The room was deadly quiet. When the video ended, she turned to face the assembled military leadership. "The Xelarian Empire has murdered a human child during an unauthorized experiment," she stated, her voice controlled but filled with cold fury. "They are now attempting a cover-up while mobilizing their fleet. Ladies and gentlemen, as of this moment, we are at war." She pressed a button on her console. "Activate the Prometheus Protocol." Across Earth, hidden facilities buried deep underground hummed to life. Massive hangar doors slid open in remote mountain ranges, revealing sleek warships that the Xelarians had never detected. In orbit, stealth platforms that had remained invisible to alien scans powered up weapon systems far more advanced than what Earth had shown to the Empire. Dr. Kevin Mitchell entered a code into a terminal at the North American Defense Complex. "Unlocking sealed technology," he announced to his team. "Authorization granted for deployment of all Tier 3 weapons." For decades, Earth had secretly prepared for first contact, developing technologies in isolation, hidden from alien observation. The public faces of human technology shown to the Xelarians had been carefully crafted decoys, presenting humanity as a promising but still developing civilization. In the Pacific Ocean, the water began to churn as a massive structure rose from the depths. The submarine carrier Liberty emerged, nearly a mile long and housing hundreds of advanced fighters. Similar scenes played out in oceans around the world. In orbit around Jupiter, hidden bases activated on several moons. Ships that had been constructed in secret for years powered up their engines. Admiral Bennett addressed the global emergency broadcast. "Citizens of Earth, the Xelarian Empire has committed an act of war against humanity. They have murdered Lily Harper, the 8-year-old daughter of our ambassador, while performing unauthorized experiments on her brain." The footage played worldwide. Streets fell silent as people watched in horror. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers wept openly. "For years, we have prepared for this possibility," Bennett continued. "The defensive capabilities we are now unveiling were developed to protect Earth from any threat. Today, they will bring justice for Lily Harper." In homes across Earth, parents looked at their own children and felt a collective rage build. This wasn't just an attack on one family. It was an attack on all of humanity. In New York, crowds gathered in Times Square, watching the news in stunned silence. A small memorial for Lily appeared spontaneously. Teddy bears, flowers, and handwritten notes from children. On the far side of the moon, the Earth Defense Fleet's flagship Nova powered up its engines. Captain Joseph Carter received his orders directly from Admiral Bennett. "All diplomatic personnel are being evacuated from Xelarian space," she told him. "Once they're clear, you are authorized to proceed with Operation Thunderbolt." Carter nodded grimly. "For Lily," he said. "For Lily," Bennett echoed. "And for all our children." Emperor Jankar stood in the Imperial War Room, surrounded by his generals. Holographic displays showed the sudden evacuation of all human diplomats from across the Empire. Within 24 hours, every human had vanished from Xelarian space. "How did they organize this so quickly?" demanded the Emperor. "And where did these ships come from?" "We had no record of such vessels in their fleet." Imperial strategist Vex Thor studied the data with growing concern. The humans concealed their true capabilities. "The question is, how much else have they hidden?" A communications officer burst into the room. "Your Majesty, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's broadcasting on all frequencies simultaneously. We cannot block it." "Display it," ordered the Emperor. A simple message appeared, translated perfectly into the Xelarian language. You have killed a human child. We gave you peace. You chose war. Run. The message repeated endlessly, impossible to silence. It played on every communication device across the Empire. Even private channels reserved for Imperial use carried the same words. This is a primitive intimidation tactic, scoffed General Krevax. They cannot possibly threaten an empire of 300 worlds with their handful of ships. Nevertheless, establish a blockade around their solar system, ordered the Emperor. No human vessel is to approach any Imperial world. On the bridge of the Nova, Captain Joseph Carter received the final confirmation that all Earth diplomats had been extracted safely. William and Samantha Harper had been the last to leave Xanthar, escorted by Alan Rodriguez and a team of covered operatives. All personnel accounted for. Sir, reported his first officer. Carter nodded grimly. Then it's time. Signal all ships to take their positions. Across the solar system, the hidden Earth fleet moved with precision. Ships that had been concealed in asteroid fields, beneath the clouds of gas giants, and behind moons suddenly appeared, forming a defensive network around Earth. At the Advanced Weapons Division facility in Colorado, Dr. Olivia Wright activated the quantum communication network. Unlike conventional signals that the Xalarians could intercept, this system used entangled particles to transmit information instantly across any distance. Fleet communications secure, she announced. The Xalarians cannot listen in or track our transmissions. As the first wave of Xalarian warships approached the edge of the solar system, they encountered something unexpected. Their weapon systems began to fail, controls becoming unresponsive. What's happening? Demanded the Xalarian fleet commander. Unknown, sir, replied his officer. Some kind of interference is affecting our systems. Earth's orbital defense platforms, previously invisible to Xalarian scans, activated simultaneously. They emitted carefully calibrated energy fields that disrupted the alien technology without firing a single shot. On Earth, Admiral Bennett addressed the United Earth Council. Phase 1 is complete. The Xalarian advance force has been neutralized without casualties. Their ships are dead in space. And the message? Asked the Council President. Broadcasting continuously throughout their empire, Bennett confirmed. Every planet, every outpost, every ship is hearing the same words, over and over. In his quarters aboard the rescue vessel taking them back to Earth, William Harper held his wife as she wept for their daughter. They're going to pay for what they did, he whispered. It won't bring her back, Samantha said through tears. No, William agreed. But it will ensure this never happens to another human child. On Xanthar, panic began to spread as news of the failed military action reached the capital. The imperial palace was flooded with messages from planetary governors asking what was happening. The simple human message continued to play everywhere, impossible to silence. In the Imperial War Room, Vexthor received new reports with growing alarm. Your Majesty, our supply ships near the Arcturus sector report their wormhole drives have failed. All faster-than-light travel in that region has become impossible. Emperor Jankar's face darkened. How? That technology is beyond their level of development. Apparently not, Vexthor replied quietly. We may have gravely underestimated them. The Emperor stared at the repeating message on the main screen. You have killed a human child. We gave you peace. You chose war. Run. For the first time in his long reign, Emperor Jankar felt something unfamiliar. Fear. 1 week after the first Xalarian ships were disabled, the Earth fleet moved beyond the solar system. Captain Joseph Carter stood on the bridge of the Nova, watching as his ships formed a perfect attack formation. Status report, he ordered. All systems operational, sir, his second-in-command reported. The Xalarians have gathered their main battle fleet at Proxima Station. They still don't know about our quantum drives. Carter nodded. Earth ships could travel faster than anything in the Xalarian fleet, using technology humans had developed but kept hidden. Begin Operation Thunderbolt, Carter ordered. Remember, minimal casualties. We're here for justice, not revenge. The Nova vanished in a flash of light, followed by the rest of the fleet. When they reappeared, they surrounded the massive Silurian battle station. Before the aliens could react, targeted energy pulses hit their ships, disabling weapons and communications, but leaving life support intact. On the main Silurian command ship, Admiral Drenkar watched in horror as his fleet became useless in seconds. "Impossible," he whispered. 300 ships neutralized without a single shot fired. His communications officer looked up with fear in his eyes. "Sir, we're being hailed by the human flagship." Captain Carter's face appeared on their main screen. "This is Captain Joseph Carter of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your weapons and engines have been disabled. Your crews will not be harmed if you surrender immediately." Drenkar stared in disbelief. "You cannot defeat an empire with 12,000 years of history." "We already have," Carter replied calmly. "Your ships are dead in space. Your faster-than-light communication network has been compromised. And this is just one battle group." Across the Empire, more human ships appeared, systematically disabling Silurian military installations. Dr. Olivia Wright's wormhole disruptors blocked the Empire's supply routes, cutting off entire sectors from each other. On Earth, Admiral Bennett and her staff monitored the operations from Global Command. "All targets neutralized," reported her tactical officer. "No casualties on either side." "Phase 2 complete," Bennett said with satisfaction. "Begin Phase 3. Throughout the galaxy, the subjugated species of the Empire watched as the unstoppable Silurian military crumbled before the humans. On dozens of worlds, rebellions began as the news spread. On the planet Krell, the reptilian natives tore down imperial flags and raised their ancient tribal banners. On Mistral, the cloud-dwelling Valen people destroyed the imperial tax offices. 3 centuries of resentment exploded into action as the Empire's weakness was exposed. In the Imperial Palace on Zenthar, chaos reigned. Reports of uprisings flooded in faster than they could be processed. The High Council chamber was filled with shouting officials. "We must negotiate with the humans," shouted Chancellor Mexeri. "Negotiate? After what we did to their child?" Another counselor replied. "They're not here to talk." Emperor Drenkar sat silent on his throne, watching his empire collapse around him. The human message still played on repeat throughout the palace. "You have killed a human child. We gave you peace. You chose war. Run." On the Nova, Captain Carter received a transmission from an unexpected source. Yum Tazik, Lily's Silurian friend, appeared on screen, his face streaked with blue tears. "Please," the Yum alien begged. "Not all Silurians wanted to hurt Lily. Some of us loved her." Carter studied the child's face, seeing genuine grief. "This isn't about punishing your entire species," he said gently. "This is about justice and preventing it from happening again." "My father says the Emperor knew about the experiments," Tazik said quietly. "He approved them." Carter leaned forward. "Who is your father?" "Chancellor Mexeri of the High Council," the boy replied. "He has proof that Emperor Drenkar ordered scientists to study Lily, even if it harmed her." This information was immediately relayed to Admiral Bennett and the Earth Council. Within hours, a special operations team led by Alan Rodriguez was dispatched to Zenthar with a very specific mission. As the Nova continued its advance through Silurian space, the crew heard news that the High Council had turned against the Emperor. The 12,000-year-old empire was tearing itself apart from within. Captain Carter looked at Lily Harper's picture on his console. "Justice is coming," he whispered. The Imperial Palace on Zenthar was surrounded by protesters. Thousands of Silurians and members of other species filled the streets, demanding the Emperor's removal. News of Lily Harper's death had spread across the galaxy, along with evidence of the Emperor's direct involvement. Inside the palace, the High Council met in emergency session. Chancellor Mexeri stood before his peers, holding a data crystal. "The evidence is clear," he announced. "Emperor Drenkar personally ordered the experiments on the human child, despite knowing the risks. His actions have brought our empire to the edge of destruction. Armed guards entered the chamber, but instead of defending the emperor, they moved to stand behind Mexeri. What is the meaning of this? Jankar demanded, rising from his throne. By unanimous vote of the High Council, you are removed from power, Mexeri declared. Your crimes against humanity have endangered our entire civilization. As guards surrounded the former emperor, a hidden door in the council chamber slid open. Alan Rodriguez stepped through, followed by a team of human operatives. Chancellor Mexeri, Rodriguez said, I believe you have something for us. Mexeri handed over the data crystal, all the evidence of the Emperor's orders regarding Lily Harbor. I only wish we had acted sooner to stop this. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Earth appreciates your cooperation. Captain Carter will be in contact regarding terms. Outside the palace, the first broadcast in days that wasn't the repeating warning played across the empire. It showed Jankar being led away in restraints, while Chancellor Mexeri announced an immediate ceasefire and unconditional surrender to Earth forces. On planets throughout the galaxy, the news spread quickly. The mighty Xilarian Empire, which had ruled for 12,000 years, had fallen in just 2 weeks, all because they had killed one human child. Aboard the Nova, Captain Carter received the surrender message with mixed emotions. The mission was accomplished, but it brought no joy. He opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Bennett, the Xilarians have surrendered. Emperor Jankar has been removed from power. On the main screen, Bennett nodded. Well done, Captain. And Rodriguez's team. Successful. They've secured all evidence of the Emperor's direct orders regarding Lily. Bennett's expression softened slightly. The Harpers will want to know. In their temporary quarters at Earth Defense Headquarters, William and Samantha received the news from Admiral Bennett herself. Samantha clutched a photo of Lily as she listened. The Empire has fallen, Bennett told them gently. The new Xilarian leadership has admitted full responsibility and surrendered unconditionally. William's voice was rough with emotion. And the ones who killed her, in custody, they will face justice, human justice. Samantha looked up. What happens now? To the Empire, to all those worlds. That's partly why I'm here, Bennett replied. The Earth Council is forming a delegation to help establish a new galactic governance structure. They want you both to be part of it. William shook his head. We're not diplomats anymore. Not after this. You're the humans who knew them best, Bennett said. And your perspective matters more than anyone's. This isn't just about punishment. It's about building something better, something Lily would be proud of. Across the galaxy, the story spread from world to world, system to system, how the death of one human child had brought down the mightiest empire the galaxy had ever known. On formerly subjugated planets, people spoke of humans in whispers of both fear and respect. On the planet Draxus, a traveler told the tale in a crowded tavern. When they said run, the empire should have run. Humans don't make empty threats. Are they monsters? Asked a young Draxian. The traveler shook his head. No, something far more dangerous. They're parents who love their children, and they will tear apart the stars themselves to protect them. In Earth orbit, the Nova returned home. As Captain Carter looked down at the blue planet, he thought about all that had happened because of one small life. One child, one morning that hadn't been heeded. The Empire had learned too late what run really meant. 5 years passed since the fall of the Xilarian Empire. Earth had become the center of a new galactic alliance, a union of free worlds built on mutual respect and cooperation rather than conquest. In a garden outside the new alliance headquarters in Geneva, a small monument stood. It was a simple statue of a young girl releasing a light bubble into the air. At its base was a plaque that read, Lily Harbor, one child whose life changed the galaxy. Today, representatives from 300 worlds gathered for the 5th anniversary memorial. William and Samantha Harper stood before the crowd, their faces showing the grief that never fully healed but had softened with time. 5 years ago, we lost our daughter, William began. We thought we had also lost our faith in the possibility of peace between different worlds. Samantha continued. But from that terrible loss came a new beginning. The Lily Harper Foundation has now established schools on 50 worlds, teaching children of all species to understand and respect each other. In the front row, Admiral Bennett, now retired, watched with pride. Beside her sat Captain Carter, recently promoted to Admiral himself. The military forces that had once brought the Empire to its knees now served as peacekeepers and disaster relief across the galaxy. Dr. Olivia Wright had adapted her wormhole technology to create a transportation network that connected distant planets, allowing species that had once been isolated to meet and trade freely. The quantum communication system developed for war now carried messages of friendship between worlds. After the ceremony, a tall Xilarian approached the Harpers. It was Tazik, now nearly grown. He carried a small crystal flower that glowed with soft blue light. "Ambassador and Dr. Harper," he said formally. "Thank you for allowing me to attend." Samantha smiled gently. "You were her friend, Tazik. You'll always be welcome." Tazik placed the crystal flower at the base of the monument. On Zenthar, these flowers bloom once every 50 years. This one will glow for Lily's entire lifetime, had she lived. William placed his hand on the young Xilarian's shoulder. "How is your father?" "Chancellor Mexeri is well. The Xilarian cooperative flourishes within the Alliance. He asked me to tell you that our education reforms are complete. All Xilarian children now learn about Lily and what her death taught us." Across the garden, Alan Rodriguez watched the exchange with satisfaction. Now the head of Alliance Security, he had devoted these 5 years to ensuring nothing like Lily's death ever happened again. His network of operatives across the galaxy worked to prevent conflicts before they began. As the crowd dispersed, a group of alien visitors from a newly contacted world approached their guide. "I don't understand," one of them said. "Humans seem so peaceful now, yet all species speak of them with such caution." The guide, a veteran from the Nova, looked toward the Harper family. "When humans warn you to run, you run," he said simply. "But when they offer friendship, there are no better allies in the universe." That evening, William and Samantha walked alone in the garden. Above them, the stars were bright in the clear night sky. "Do you think she would be proud of what we've built?" Samantha asked, looking up. William followed her gaze to the stars where hundreds of worlds now lived in peace. "I know she would be." A small light bubble, like the ones Lily had learned to make with Tazik, floated unexpectedly up from the memorial statue. It drifted upward, glowing softly until it joined the stars above. The couple stood in silence, watching it rise. Perhaps it was just an effect programmed into the memorial. Perhaps it was something more. Either way, it felt right. From tragedy, a new understanding had emerged. The galaxy had learned that humans would fight with unimaginable force to protect their children. But they had also learned that humans would work just as hard to build a universe where such protection was no longer needed. A universe where no child, human or alien, would ever have to be afraid again.